The biggest changes, in my opinion, in the last 10 years or so in second-hand is the overriding reality that the average consumer no longer needs, wants, or cares about it being real. So, by that I mean that now the most important aspects of buying something second-hand is the look, then the price, and then everything else. If it happens to be the real thing, it's a bonus now. Whereas in the past, they always wanted the real thing, the original, whatever it was, be it plastic furniture from the 70s or something older or craftsman built. Now that doesn't matter. Now, is it look right? And how much does it cost? And everything else is after that. So, that's the greatest change. The market is less discerning for quality and design. Selling stuff today, in the teens of the century, compared to 10 years ago when we were doing that fabulous show, Your Life on the Lawn, I think has fragmented down. So basically, you've now got, eBay, Gumtree, all the alternatives on the internet. I think they've actually reached their peak of being good for sellers. For sellers, it's now really, unless you're firm price, it's really a lottery. Who's looking at that time? How interested are they? What's the market like generally at that time? You're going to get a better price for something in winter than you will in summer because there's more people actually participating in those auctions, those internet auction sites during winter because they've got more time. It gets darker earlier. But generally, it's all settled. It's all just settled down. So for a fabulous bit of Australian pottery that was desirable 10 years ago, you'd probably get 30% more than you will today for the exact same piece because there's more of them on the market, there's more avenues of purchasing it, and that's the way it is. The areas of weekly auctions, doesn't matter which state of the country, but in the areas of weekly auctions, they're knocking back more than they've ever knocked back because there's so much coming at them. There are more auction houses trying to take up and pick up the slack, but all the prices are settling. Unless it's something extraordinary. There are exceptions, but as a rule, everything's just settling down, reaching a little plateau. So now, unless you really, really need some money, I'd hold a lot of stuff. Give the trashy type of stuff that you're not really interested in to the op shops. Let them collect the money. Try it on the internet, cost you very little to try it, but don't be surprised if you don't get a reaction. And research everything that you're trying to sell. Know exactly what it is before you put it on the market, because it might actually be something that's really desirable, and it mightn't be desirable in this country. All you might be doing is selling it on eBay Australia or Gumtree Australia or something, selling it on one of those local sites to another dealer who's going to put it on the English site or the American site or the German site, because that's where they're interested in. Especially with things like militaria, mining lamps, certain bits of pottery and really nice decorative item. The other aspects are the biggest change would be the continuing fragmentation of style. So we've come through retro and vintage. We've, in the last 10 years, headed into industrial, soft industrial, hard industrial. So people now look at everything, be it salvage items or big industrial pieces of machinery, as potential for decoration. That's something that's come out of nowhere, basically, in the last 10 years. The other, probably the greatest effect for the immediate future, and what we've come out of, is never has there been more stock available. Now, the average second-hand dealer will look at something, whatever it might be, a lamp or a chair or whatever, that they might have offered $50 for 5 years ago, and say 20, and I don't care if I get it, because there's another one coming. Because we've got people downsizing, we've got the baby boomers all getting older, going into twilight homes, falling apart, etc., etc., etc. And therefore, what happens is they all sell up. So it can be through garage sales, auctions, collections going on sale, eBay, all the electronic means of being able to sell stuff. And it's all coming on the market. Masses of it. I mean, there is stuff that you didn't see 10 years ago at all. Now you see them, every month going through, auction rooms. So they're the big changes. There's never been more stock. The fragmentation of style that's acceptable and desirable, and the fact that people are less discerning about the real quality of what they're buying, because they'll quite happily spend $199 on a replica that breaks down in 5 years, rather than spending $500 on the real chair or the real table or the real whatever it was that was craftsman built in the first place. So it won't fall apart that quickly. So they're the biggest changes in my mind since we did that lovely show called Your Life on the Lawn, or Your Life in a Skip, as I recall it being affectionately known internally. So they're the changes.